You have been manipulated today. You didn't notice. That's the point. Somewhere in the last 24 hours, someone used a principle on you that's older than the Roman Empire. Maybe it was a headline engineered to provoke outrage so you click. Maybe it was a compliment designed to make you lower your guard. Maybe it was a silence, a strategic pause that made you fill the gap with concessions you didn't intend to make. You didn't see it. They didn't expect you to. In 1998, a man named Robert Greene published a catalog of these techniques, 48 laws, drawn from 3,000 years of court intrigue, military strategy, and con artistry. The book was banned in prisons. It was celebrated in boardrooms. It was denounced by moralists and devoured by millions. Why? Because it answered a question most people are afraid to ask. What are the rules that actually govern human interaction, not the rules we pretend exist? Let me show you. In 1998, a book was published that would become one of the most controversial texts of the modern era. It wasn't philosophy. It wasn't self-help. It wasn't history. Not exactly. It was a manual, 48 laws. Each one illustrated with stories from history's most ruthless operators, Machiavelli, Louis XIV, con artists, courtiers, kings. The book was called The 48 Laws of Power. Within years, it had sold over 2 million copies. It became required reading in Hollywood, on Wall Street, and in Silicon Valley. Executives kept it on their desks. Rappers quoted it in lyrics. It shaped an entire generation's understanding of ambition. It was also banned. Multiple prison systems in the United States prohibited inmates from possessing it. The reason? Officials feared it would teach manipulation too effectively, that it would create better criminals. Think about that. A book so dangerous that the state decided people in cages shouldn't be allowed to read it. But here is what most readers miss. Robert Greene did not invent these laws. He excavated them. Every principle in that book was already operating in the courts of pharaohs, in the palaces of Renaissance Italy, in the boardrooms of the 20th century. Greene simply did what Machiavelli did 500 years earlier. He wrote down what the powerful already knew. And just like Machiavelli, he has been both celebrated and condemned for it. By the end of this video, you will understand the historical roots of the most dangerous laws. You will see how they were used by emperors, con men, spymasters, and seducers. And you will understand why this knowledge, once reserved for the elite, is now in your hands. This is not an endorsement of manipulation. This is a map of the battlefield you're already standing on. You have been subject to these laws your entire life. You just didn't have names for them. The coworker who took credit for your work. They were using Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. The friend who always made you feel slightly off balance, never quite sure where you stood. That's Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. The leader who surrounded themselves with people less talented than themselves. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Inverted. They violated it and paid the price. These patterns are not new. They are not even modern. They are ancient. The first recorded manipulations appear in texts thousands of years old. Egyptian viziers wrote manuals on court survival. Chinese strategists codified deception as an art. Roman emperors built systems of control so sophisticated they lasted centuries. Robert Greene read these texts. He cross-referenced them. He found the through lines, the principles that appeared again and again across cultures, across millennia, and he presented them without moral judgment. That's what makes the book dangerous, not the content, the neutrality. Greene doesn't tell you manipulation is good or bad. He tells you it exists. He shows you how it works, and he leaves the ethics to you. Some people find this liberating, others find it terrifying. Both reactions are correct, so let us walk through the laws, not all 48, but the ones with the deepest historical roots and the darkest implications, the ones that have shaped empires and destroyed lives, the ones operating in your world right now. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite, inspire fear and insecurity. The historical example Greene uses is Nicolas Fouquet, finance minister to Louis XIV. Fouquet was brilliant. He had saved France from bankruptcy. And to celebrate, he threw a party at his estate, Vaux-le-Vicomte, that was the most lavish event Europe had ever seen. Gardens designed by the greatest landscape architect of the age, fountains that seemed to defy physics, entertainment by Molière, food that would make kings envious. Louis XIV attended, and within 3 weeks Fouquet was arrested. He spent the rest of his life in prison. His estate was confiscated. His architects, designers, and artists were taken to build Versailles for the king. Fouquet's crime was not corruption, it was outshining. He made the Sun King feel dim. This law operates everywhere. The employee who makes their boss look incompetent, even unintentionally, rarely survives. The subordinate who dresses better than their superior sends a signal they may not intend. The protege who surpasses their mentor too publicly often finds the mentor becomes an enemy. The lesson is not be mediocre, it is manage perception. Let your brilliance reflect well on those above you. Let them feel they discovered you, elevated you, created you. Your success should look like their success. Otherwise, you become a threat, and threats get eliminated. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. The master of this law was Otto von Bismarck, the architect of German unification. Bismarck wanted to unite the German states under Prussian leadership, but if he announced this goal, every power in Europe, France, Austria, Russia, would have allied against him. So he never announced it. Instead, he manufactured crises. He provoked wars that seemed to be about other things. He made each step appear defensive, reactive, forced upon him by circumstance. When he engineered a war with Austria in 1866, it appeared to be about the administration of Schleswig-Holstein, a dispute so obscure that Lord Palmerston joked only 3 people in Europe understood it, and one was dead. But the real purpose was to expel Austria from German affairs and establish Prussian dominance. When he provoked France into war in 1870, it appeared that France was the aggressor, even though Bismarck had deliberately edited a telegram to make French demands seem more insulting than they were. The result, German unification, achieved through wars that looked like self-defense. His enemies never saw the full picture until it was too late. This law is the foundation of strategic ambiguity. In negotiations, in business, in relationships, the person who reveals their full position first is at a disadvantage. The person who maintains mystery retains options. Never let them know where you're going until you've already arrived. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd then, or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. The archetype here is P.T. Barnum, the American showman who understood that attention itself is currency. Barnum didn't just promote his circus, he promoted himself. He manufactured controversies. He made outrageous claims. When people called him a fraud, He welcomed it, because the debate only spread his name further. His most famous stunt was the Fiji mermaid, a grotesque fake creature stitched together from a monkey and a fish. Scientists denounced it. Critics mocked it. Barnum didn't care. The controversy drove ticket sales through the roof. He reportedly said, "There's no such thing as bad publicity." This law has only become more relevant in the modern era. Social media rewards attention above almost everything else. The algorithm doesn't distinguish between fame and infamy. Controversy spreads faster than competence. But there's a shadow side Greene acknowledges. Attention for its own sake can become a trap. The courtier who is too conspicuous attracts envy and enemies. The public figure who courts scandal eventually becomes defined by it. The law is not seek all attention. It is never be invisible. Control the narrative of your own visibility. Better to be talked about than forgotten, but best to be talked about for reasons you have chosen. Law 15. Crush your enemy. Totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. This is the darkest law, and the most contested. The historical example is Xiang Yu and Liu Pang, rival generals during the fall of the Qin dynasty in ancient China. Xiang Yu was the greater warrior. He defeated Liu Pang repeatedly, but each time he let him go, sometimes out of arrogance, sometimes out of misplaced honor. Liu Pang retreated, rebuilt, learned. Eventually, the tide turned. Liu Pang cornered Xiang Yu at the Battle of Gaixia. This time, there was no mercy. Xiang Yu killed himself. Liu Pang became emperor, founding the Han Dynasty, one of the longest-lasting in Chinese history. The lesson is brutal, but historically consistent. Partial victory is often worse than defeat. When you wound an enemy but do not finish them, you create someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain from your destruction. They will spend years plotting revenge. They will wait for your moment of weakness. This law has been invoked to justify everything from corporate ruthlessness to political purges. It is morally uncomfortable precisely because it is often strategically correct. Greene does not tell you to follow this law. He tells you that others follow it, and if you don't understand that, you may become its victim. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Humans are creatures of habit with an insatiable need to see familiarity in other people's actions. Your predictability gives them a sense of control. Turn the tables. Be deliberately unpredictable. The master of this law was Ivan the Terrible, Tsar of Russia. Ivan's court lived in perpetual anxiety. One day, he would shower a noble with gifts and praise. The next, he might have the same noble executed for a slight no one could identify. His mood swings were possibly genuine. Historians debate his mental state, but the effect was strategic. No one could form alliances against a man they couldn't predict. No one could plot rebellion when they didn't know who was in favor from one day to the next. Terror was the mechanism. Unpredictability was the delivery system. This law has milder applications. The negotiator who is impossible to read retains power. The leader who occasionally breaks pattern keeps their team alert. The person who cannot be taken for granted is harder to dismiss, but taken too far, unpredictability becomes chaos. Ivan's Russia was effective at preventing rebellion, but terrible at building anything lasting. The law works for control. It does not work for trust. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something. Become the focal point of such desire by offering them a cause, a new faith to follow. This law explains everything from religious movements to startup culture. The formula. Greene identifies, keep your words vague but full of promise, emphasize enthusiasm over rationality, create rituals and hierarchy, establish an us versus them dynamic, provide a sense of belonging that transcends individual identity. Throughout history, this pattern repeats. The early Christians, gathering in secret, promising salvation. The Jacobins of the French Revolution, demanding total commitment to abstract ideals. The fascist movements of the 20th century, offering national rebirth to humiliated populations. And in the modern era, charismatic founders who speak of changing the world while building companies that demand total devotion. Political movements that frame every disagreement as existential. Online communities that provide identity and belonging in exchange for ideological conformity. The law works because the need is real. People want meaning. They want community. They want to believe their lives matter. The manipulation lies in exploiting that need rather than serving it. Law 29. Plan. All the way to the end. The ending is everything. Plan all the way to it, taking into account all the possible consequences, obstacles, and twists of fortune that might reverse your hard work. The counterexample Greene uses is devastating. The Allies' failure to plan for the aftermath of World War I. The war was won. Germany was defeated. But the Treaty of Versailles was designed for punishment, not stability. It humiliated Germany without destroying its capacity for revenge. It carved up empires without considering the ethnic conflicts that would result. It created the League of Nations without giving it power to enforce peace. Within 2 decades, the victory had led directly to World War II. The generals had planned to win the war. No one had adequately planned to win the peace. This law applies to careers, to relationships, to projects of all kinds. The entrepreneur who builds a company without an exit strategy. The politician who wins an election without a governing agenda. The person who wins an argument but loses the relationship. Endings reveal whether the strategy was real or improvised. Plan all the way through. Because the last move determines whether all the previous moves mattered. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. That weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can also be a small secret pleasure. Either way, once found, it is a thumbscrew you can turn to your advantage. This is the spy's law, the seducer's law, the manipulator's law. Cardinal Richelieu, the power behind Louis XIII's throne, was a master of this principle. He maintained extensive files on everyone at court, their debts, their affairs, their secret shames. He rarely used this information directly. He didn't need to. The knowledge that he knew was enough. The thumbscrews vary. For the insecure, it's fear of exposure. For the proud, it's flattery for the greedy. It's promises of wealth for the lonely. It's offers of belonging for the ambitious. It's access to power. The law is immoral. It can be used to manipulate or to understand. A good leader discovers their team's thumbscrews not to exploit them, but to motivate them effectively. A good negotiator finds the other side's true interests, not to crush them, but to find agreements that stick. The knowledge itself is neutral. The application is everything. Law 48. Assume formlessness. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. This is the final law and arguably the deepest. Greene draws from Sun Tzu, from guerrilla warfare, from the survival strategies of persecuted groups throughout history. The greatest example is perhaps the survival of Jewish communities through 2,000 years of diaspora. Without a state, without an army, without fixed territory, They survived by adaptation. They could not be destroyed because they could not be pinned down. Their identity was portable. Their strategies were fluid. In strategic terms, rigidity is death. The Maginot Line, that massive fixed fortification France built to stop Germany, was simply driven around. The companies that defined themselves too narrowly were disrupted by technologies they couldn't incorporate. The leaders who became synonymous with one approach were destroyed when conditions changed. Formlessness is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength, the ability to become whatever the moment requires. So what have we learned? That manipulation is not modern. It is not Western. It is not even human. Animals deceive each other constantly. The 48 laws of power did not create these dynamics. It named them. And there is power in naming. For most of history, this knowledge was restricted. It passed in whispers between courtiers. It was encoded in texts that only the educated could read. It was practiced by the powerful and suffered by everyone else. Greene's book, whatever you think of it, democratized that knowledge. It handed the court manual to the commoner. It armed the prey with the predator's playbook. But here is the truth Greene himself would acknowledge. Knowing the laws is not the same as using them wisely. Every law has a counter law. Every manipulation creates a vulnerability. The person who trusts no one ends up alone. The person who crushes all enemies creates a world where everyone is an enemy. The person who wears only masks forgets their own face. The laws are tools. Tools can build or destroy. And the most important question is not, how do these work? It is, what do I want to build? Because manipulation without purpose is just chaos. Power without vision is just destruction. Winning without meaning is just emptiness wearing a crown. The 48 Laws of Power is not a book of answers. It is a book of questions. How will you respond when these laws are used against you? How will you choose which laws to follow and which to reject? How will you protect yourself without losing yourself? These are not questions Greene can answer. They are questions only you can answer. But at least now, you know what you're dealing with. The game was always being played. Now you can see the board. Subscribe if you want to see the next pattern. Final line. Power has rules. The only choice is whether you learn them or become their lesson.